Take a sheet of paper and I want you to write the word grow down the left-hand side of the sheet of paper. So it's vertical, G-R-O-W. And for those of you who are saying, John, we've done this before. Yeah, we have, and not in the way we're going to today. So hang in there with me. Besides, repetition is the mother of learning. So do it again. Now, the G stands for your goals. And I want you to write down what your goals were for the end of January. Where did you need to be in order to track 2023? Be honest, don't make it up. Don't change your goals 1 month into the year because you're not on track to hit your goals. Whatever your goal was, write it down. All right, the R is reality. That's where you are the end of January. And no judgment. I'm not going to ask anybody to share. I just want you to write this down. This is for your own personal growth. Now, the purpose of this exercise is to get to the O. That's where we're going to park today. In other words, what are the obstacles that are standing between you and your goals? I want you to write down 3 or 4 obstacles. You can do that quickly. You can do that while I'm talking. W is the way forward. It's the prescription that we're going to write in order to move closer to our goals. And part of that is removing those obstacles. Now, many people, when I ask them, what are your obstacles, will answer with focus. Just put me or thumbs up or anything in the chat and we'll know that's you. And I know it's a lot of us, right? Focus. They just can't focus. I got ADD. I don't know when the last time I spoke to someone who didn't have ADD, right? And we all do in some form or another, okay? So focus. Not enough time in the day is another way of saying focus. I've finished the day and I feel exhausted. I'm mentally exhausted and I didn't get the things done that I wanted to do. Again, that's focus, okay? The next box I want you to draw, we're going to get back to that in just a minute, but I want you to take a piece of paper and write a vertical line going straight down the middle of the paper and a horizontal line going across the middle of that line. You've created 4 boxes. In the top left box, I want you to write present positive. That's everything that's going well, all right? And don't leave anything out. Even if it's a small victory, write it in the top left box. All right, top right box is future positive. And what I want you to focus on here is where do you want to be 5 years from now? Not a year from now, but 5 years from now. We way overestimate what we can accomplish in a year and we underestimate what we can accomplish in 5 years. So where do you want to be 5 years from now? What does the future look like? The future positive look like for you? Now, in that bottom left box, it is present negative. Now we're back to obstacles again. What are the obstacles that are standing between you and where you want to be 5 years from now? In the bottom right-hand box, you're going to write future negative. And future negative is where we end up when we don't remove the obstacles. When you don't remove the obstacles, you're going to be in the same place you are right now a year from now. 2 years from now, you're going to be in the same place you are right now 3 years, 4 years, and 5 years. And that's not to say where you are is bad, okay? However, if you're a part of this call, my guess is you want to grow. You want to get better every day and every year. You're on a journey. By the way, the journey has no destination because what would you do when you got there? It's a journey of constant growth. Now let's go back to the obstacles. Many people who worry too much say they can't focus. In other words, one of the reasons they're not focusing is because their mind is busy thinking about all the things that they're worried about. Have you ever been reading a book or doing an exercise or in the middle of lead generation and you find yourself thinking about something entirely different? Let's say you're reading a book and you get 2 pages into the book and you stop and think, I don't remember a word I read. And you stop and think about that for a moment, and you realize the reason you don't remember a word you read because you weren't focusing, and that's not true. You actually were focusing. You were not focusing on the book. You were focusing on worry. You were focusing on fear. And leads us to a conversation on worry and fear versus faith and conviction. So all of you have heard the Native American parable where the Indian chief is talking to his grandson, and they're talking about these two wolves that are fighting one another. There's a white one and there's a black one, and one resembles faith and the other one resembles fear. And the grandson asked his grandfather, which one will win? And the grandfather responds with, whichever one I feed. So you've got these two wolves. They're in here. They're fighting one another. One is worry and one is fear. Which one are you feeding? If you're feeding fear, fear is going to win. If you're feeding faith, faith is going to win. Another way of looking at which one are you feeding is which one are you focusing on? Are you focusing on what you want, or are you focusing on everything that could go wrong? There's another way of looking at this, light and darkness. If you walk into a room in the middle of the night and it's dark and you turn on a light, what happens? The room becomes light. Does it ever stay dark? And the answer is no, it never does. 100% of the time, when you turn on the light, darkness runs, light wins. When the sun comes up, it's no longer dark. It's light. Darkness will always run from light. Darkness is fear. Light is faith. Darkness never beats light. Darkness is simply the absence of light. Fear is the absence of faith. Now, am I saying that you're going to be able to completely remove every fear?
Babies.
Talk to me. Tara, was that for me?
Yeah.
No. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on one second, guys. I'm going to mute all, because you never know what you might hear. All right. No, you're not going to be able to remove fear completely. However, you can have a better perspective on it. So I want you to write down 40%. And next to it, I want you to write 40% of the things that I am worrying about will never happen. Next, I want you to write down 30%. 30% of the things that I am worrying about have already happened in the past. Next, I want you to write down 12%. 12% of the things that I am worrying about are needless imaginings about my health. For example, my leg hurts. Do I have cancer? My head hurts. Do I have a tumor? I know you think this way because I do. And I know if Monica's listening to me right now, she's probably laughing because every time I have a headache, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a tumor. She's like, John, remember Kindergarten Cop? You don't have a tumor. She's like, John, you don't have a tumor. It's just a headache. Okay, but I do that. So if I do that, I know you do that. The next number I want you to write down is 10%. 10% is spending time worrying about the petty little things other people think about you. Now, everybody that understands the DISC profile knows that if you're a high I, this comes with the territory. High I's are people. They want to be liked. And they can't stand it when somebody doesn't like them. Why don't they like me? Who cares? 10% is time spent worrying about what other people think about you. All right, the number that's left is 8%. 8% are legitimate things that you probably should be concerned about. However, you can fix those things. Let me tell you why you're not. You're so busy spending time on the 92%, you have no energy left for the 8%. And at the end of the day, you're exhausted. You're mentally exhausted, and you feel like you didn't get anything done. You feel like your biggest obstacle was focus. And in reality, it wasn't focus at all, because you can focus. You're just focusing on the wrong thing. You're spending so much of your energy focusing on the things that you're afraid about, the things that you're worried about, the things that you should not be thinking about, that you don't have any energy left to focus on the things you can fix. Well, some of you are thinking, this isn't my problem. And my answer for you would be awesome, good thing. It will be. I promise you. It may not be today, and it will be. How do I know that? Because we are all either in a crisis, coming out of a crisis, or headed for a crisis. So if this is not you today, it will be. Good news, you can do something about that. All right, talk to me.
John.
Yes.
I just want you to know that my father-in-law, an incredible businessman here in Broward County, or was an incredible businessman, he would always say when I'd walk in his office, like just completely stressed or crying or whatever, he'd say, you know, Diane, 99% of what you're worried about is not going to happen. So I've always, and I'm a high I, but I've always, I've over the years realizing that he was so right, that really it is 99%. Honestly, I'm just sort of like, okay, well, thank you, next. That's it.
Thank you, Diane. Wisdom from our grandparents is the best wisdom there is. It really is. People think experience is the best teacher. It's not. Other people's experience is the best teacher.
So, John,
Justin, I need to talk to you, so don't go away. You and I are going to have a conversation.
Right now?
No, I want you to go first. That would be rude if I butted in.
So last week I had a disastrous thing happen in my real estate career. It was disastrous to me. And that was, I lost at the closing table. The sellers breached on the contract at the closing deal on a $650,000 deal. It hurt. It hurt bad. I mean, we all know how we show up. We're ready to get paid after a month and a half of hard work or months of hard work, and that happens. And it was a gut check. It really hurt, and we all had those punches in the gut. So today last night I found out, I think, and I'm in prayer and whatever, fingers crossed, toes crossed. I think I'm finally getting a offer on my $1.5 million listing. So it is the word next. And that's what my mentor taught me early on is next, get on to it, get on, move on. And that's what I tried to do when this all happened. It was like, all right, got to clear the mind and move on and get on to the next one.
Yeah. So Justin, thank you for sharing that. Right. We've all been there. If that's never happened to you before, you just haven't been in real estate long enough. It's going to happen. It's called life. Shit happens. And Justin, I'm so proud of you. I really, really am. Now, I was on a call with you last week, and I mentioned, you're going to know what I'm talking about. And I mentioned a question because it was a Q&A call. And the question that I asked was for conversation purposes, right? And it's also real life because we experienced this. And you were brave enough to step forward and say, I'm having a problem with this. And not everybody received it as well as they could have. What I didn't hear that I heard later was you were referencing new agents or newer agents. No, you weren't. Okay, you weren't. Even if you weren't,
That was part of the
Still
confusion.
brought up a
that I know what you're talking
legitimate-
about. That was part of the confusion is I was referencing agents in general.
Okay.
New and old.
And it's a legitimate concern, right? I had a conversation with someone today at noon who is part of another company who I'm meeting with because that's his concern. And it's going on in our real estate industry. And for us to say it's not isn't going to help us fix it. So let's just say it is going on so we can fix it.
Can we reference what our conversation was for everyone else so that we
Not really, because we have several different brokerages on this call and I don't want this to be a brokerage conversation.
got it?
Is that okay? Yeah, thank you.